Good morning. So, thank you for joining me. Today, I am going to be focusing on building an arrangement around a piano and vocal demo from a new client of mine. And I wanted to take you through some of the things that I've done already before I get into actually like harmonizing the melody. In other words, like providing chords underneath the melody that he has written. So, first and foremost, I think it would be cool to just take a listen to his demo just to give you an idea. It's kind of like 80s pop inspired, but right now it's literally just piano and vocal. And from what I could listen to, it sounds like he's essentially playing the vocal melody on piano as he's singing to help guide him through it. So let's take a quick listen. A few bars here.
The sun stood still on the edge of the sky as I walked through the shadows of the trees. The echoes of the turning season said goodbye, and I whispered back to the wind down on my knees.
Cool. So, as you can see up here, I have rough markers laid out: verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse 2, etc. We'll get into that in a second. The first thing I want to walk you through is how I took his piano demo. He was kind enough to provide a piano demo, which is awesome. Like, I love separate tracks. And if you're new to these videos and what I do, I basically repeat the same process every time. So you might learn one new thing from me and then realize, oh, he does the exact same thing every time. Yeah. But what I wanted to do was take this audio recording here from his phone and convert it into a MIDI track, which I did here. So I want to show you how I did that. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is just double click on this audio region right here. And here we are in the audio editor. What I'm going to do first is turn on flex, this little button right here, show hide flex. Do you want to turn on flex for the track, blah, 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 blah? Yes. So now I'm going to go over here and scroll up to flex pitch. Okay, so as you can see, it analyzed the audio and it's generated all these little blobs here. Now I can move them around manually if I like. What I want to do is select all of them by hitting Command A. Okay, so from here, I want to go to Edit. Scroll all the way down to Create MIDI Track from Flex Pitch Data. And as you can see now, it has converted it into a MIDI track. Now, the reason I wanted to do this is that the tempo of this piano performance is a little all over the place as far as, going faster and slower. I wanted to wrangle it in and create something that had a consistent tempo with the option to change things during certain sections. That's the goal. So for example, if I want a verse at, what do I have, 110 BPM, right? I'll keep it that consistent without any shifts there. Then we get to the pre-chorus, maybe adjust it by a couple of BPM lower or higher, depending. And then maybe I want more energy in the chorus. I might speed it up a tiny bit. It depends. It depends on how things are going to go. But I want to have that control, which I don't really have with the audio track. It comes with its own automation. If you do, like, for example, go to tempo and then apply region tempo to project tempo, you could do that. Here's what happens if I do that. Turns into a squiggle mess. See all that stuff up here? Let's see if I can bring this down a little bit more. Yeah, like drastic jumps in tempo, which I want to completely avoid. So I am not going to do that. While we're at it, let's bring in the markers here. Bam. All right, awesome. Talk about the markers in a minute. But I've got my track, and essentially, we don't need this right now. Actually, I already have this down here. I spend a lot of time quantizing the MIDI. So just finding where certain notes were a little bit off in time and just quantizing them here and there. So I wanted to retain the human feel as much as I could, but I also want to again, maintain a sense of consistent tempo. And then, as you can see here, just spend some time mapping out the structure of the song, which he kindly provided in the lyrics, which is great. But as you can see here, there's certain gaps in the demo as far as, you know, where the melody and the harmony is going to be. But as you can see, there are certain gaps here where the harmony needs to be. So that's going to be on me to create. So that's what we're going to get into right now. So let's do it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, label this track I got up here. Easy keys. As you can see, I've already grabbed my Easy Keys 2 plugin here. Now, based off of what I was listening to in this demo, if I had to think of what chords would fit under the notes that he was playing in the melody, it sounded like an A minor chord and a G major chord of some sort. There might be, you know, added notes here and there. I'm not very music theory articulate this morning. I'm like, the notes. It might have more other notes. I'm like, I don't want to. My mind isn't calibrated to thinking like extensions or anything like that. So I'm like, But anyway, let's take a quick listen again just to kind of refresh our memory.
The sun stood still on the edge of the sky as I walked through the shadows of the trees.
Okay, cool. So if I go back to this, literally what I did behind the scenes is I grabbed my guitar, just played along to that melody, and if you have a good ear, this will come in handy big time. And if not, you can spend a lot of time just messing around with something like Easy Keys. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring in the click. Sorry for the annoying click sound. Cool. Now, my goal for today is to lay down some chords and get a piece of the song sent off to my client. What I want from him is just to sing over this in its demo form, just to make sure that it still feels good to him, because as you heard in the demo, everything was very free form, so he was kind of going by his own natural tempo. And when you start shifting to something that has a more consistent tempo, if you're not used to it, it can feel very disorienting and kind of take you out of it. So I want to make sure that we can preserve the vibe as much as possible. So it's going to be a series of just like me sending this, be like, hey, how do you feel about this speed? Be like, oh, can we get a little slower? Sure. And then we make adjustments there. And that's why I wanted to convert everything into MIDI, just because it's going to be way easier to control everything, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, let's do this. I'm just going to create some basic chords here in Easy Keys. Boom. So it's going to start on bar 2 here. I feel like based on one other chord that I was listening back to, this actually might be in the key of G major. So I'm going to take a swing. And let's add a standard groove here. So I'm just going to change this to A minor. Same thing here. Rather than do that a bunch of times, I'm going to chop U. All right, let's listen back. Oh, I already messed up. So what I want is that to be twice as long. Can I get in there? Yeah. Let's get rid of you. I'm gonna highlight you as well. Delete. And I really have no idea what's gonna happen with this yet. Just because it's an intro, I want to keep it relatively mellow and not too busy. Oops, did I miss a note there? Yep, I did. All right, let's hear that. Yep, that sounds good to me. So just copy that. Hold Option, click, drag. And now we've got two. Let's hear how that sounds. Yep, so same thing here. Ah, did you hear that little note at the end there? To me, it sounds like it's going to land on a D major chord. And that's why I decided that this key might be in the key of G major. So what I want to do here, chop you. Get rid of you. I should probably save. Turn you into a D. So let's hear how that sounds. So now we're into the next section here. Now, already, I'm noticing that the melody is a little bit, I don't know what the right word is, off in rhythm. So what I would do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like it arrives too soon. We'll see what my client has to say about this, but I want to just be bold right now, be brave, and just kind of nudge everything along just to give him a little bit extra time here. So what we got, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom. Just come in here. What is that gonna be? Ba-da-da-da. Yeah, I want that A to land on bar 20. So it's like. Something sped up. That's weird. I'll have to deal with that in a minute. Okay, and this is where the handy click will come in. We'll get into that in a second, but let's see if we can bing. And this I might Add a slight. And I might. I feel like I'm getting an idea to kind of just do some kind of fancy little. For me, it'd be my right hand playing the melody, like boing. I'm not a piano player at all, so we'll see. But I'm gonna pull in a groove here. Let's see. I want like a. Ooh, that's cool. Ostinato? I don't think so. No. I just want like a nice little flourish of notes. Ooh, like that. What's this? I'm just gonna pull that in. That is what I want. Chop you. Get rid of the last bit of that. And let's see if I get lucky. Ooh, I like that. Okay, so we have. Wonder if I get lucky. It's a little busy at the end, a little too busy. I don't want to crowd the vocal. That is something that he and I both agreed on. But I do want, where is that? Yeah, I want all that. Let's open you up a little bit, a lot of bit. Bring this down. Let's see. Okay. Yep. Cool. Let's get rid of that. Is there anything else here? Let's stretch you out. Is that a little bit yeah, that feels better. Okay, cool. Me likey. All right, let's hear back everything we got so far. Boom. Yeah. I like that. So, as I'm doing this, I'll just tell you my thought process. Essentially, I just want to get a very, very basic piano track going for him to approve or deny. Blatantly deny. And from there, we'll discuss building out instrumentation on this and arrangement choices, being like, hey, do you want to keep this bare in the first verse leading up to the first chorus? And then bringing in drums and bass and everything else during like the second round of things to give a more emotional buildup? Or do you want all of that stuff throughout? things like that. So those are the conversations I'm gonna have with him. So I'll have to do some editing here with like making the melody fit the rhythm. Let's do a quick little test with the click. Okay, so clearly I'll have to go in there and do some editing to make sure that the melody feels good, which I will spare you. It's just, you know, I'm going to go in and listen to where, you know, things fall off the click and then nudge accordingly. So that should be pretty straightforward. I don't think you really need to know that. If you really want me to show you what that looks like, definitely let me know for a future one. I'm happy to do that. But for right now, I'll just do that on my own. But yeah, this is sounding good so far. So I think I'm going to edit this real quick, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I'm going to do as far as providing chords for the chorus here. Since everything has been pretty much the same except for this pre-chorus with the chord at the end, this could be fun to create some accompaniment. So yeah, I'll be right back. Hello, welcome back. So as you can see, I did some work behind the scenes here. Basically, I just want to get a feel for the chorus's vocal melody, note for note, as it has been laid out in the demo here. And I think I've wrangled it into submission as far as like getting it in the tempo. Here, let's listen to it real quick with the click. Yeah. Now, I did a little bit of behind the scenes, you know, porch guitar playing, as you can see in the video right here. This is this. So I'm going to try out a couple of ideas. No matter what, I want it to land on that D. So what's going to be tricky, though, I think, is Comes Alive. It could be a number of different things. I might go back to those videos as a reference if I get stuck, but I'm just going to play around here in easy keys, and maybe it'll offer some suggestions that will be nice. All right, so just gonna borrow the basic chords here. I felt like there should be a cool chord change right there. So let's hear that again. Now, I think we're... Let's hear how that sounds. That's kind of cool. And then have this be a D. And string that out like this. The things that I'm trying to keep in mind is making sure that the chorus is very much unique to the verse. I guess that's my knee-jerk reaction. Ultimately, it doesn't have to be, and ultimately, it depends on what my client is going to say, right? Double ultimate. He has the final say, of course. But that's just, me talking about my immediate feelings about everything, right? This is kind of like how my brain works through the process as far as like knee-jerk reactions to things. Like everything has been based around A minor as a tonal center. So let's just have a listen back and just see if it works as a chorus. In fact, let's label this as a chorus just so I'm not getting thrown off here. Wow. And then I think this is pre-chorus, right? Yeah. So this is all pre-chorus, I believe. All right, so yeah, let's hear everything. I think it sounds good. I do want to try something real quick. Nope. Let's see. So we're keeping it in the realm of C, D, E, F, G. That won't work. No, I think C is pretty good. The thing that I had the idea for on guitar on the porch.
Another version would be, this is the
is what I'm going to try right now. So we're going to do... No, I think it works like this. So I think this is enough for me to send off to the client. And I think what I'm going to do after all this is just get feedback on, hey, are these chords like too sparse? Do you want more changes in between to give some movement? That kind of thing. So that'll be a thing that I want to communicate with him about. But yeah, this feels pretty good. What I need to remind myself of doing is going back here and, if need be, converting the vocal into a melody, like a MIDI track rather, converting the audio here into a MIDI track, and then going, line by line like I did for the chorus. This thing that I mapped out was just the piano, so it's kind of like a general guideline, but I think what would be good now that I have things off and rolling is to get the vocal melody down so I know exactly what the notes are, because I need to know how those notes are going to react to the chords that I put underneath, right? So making sure that I get everything precise and note for note and lining up with the lyrics that he's provided is going to be the next step that I'm going to do there. So if you want me to show you what that looks like, it's not going to be the most fun thing in the world, but I'm happy to show you, so let me know in the comments. And thanks again for watching. I hope this was informative and, if nothing else, inspiring. This is something that, once you get going, it gets very, very fun. So thank you again for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.